We've had a lot of requests from our viewers to show more about chironomids, you know, some of the flies, some of the techniques we use, and actually how you catch them. So couldn't ask for a better person to have, Mr. Chironomid himself, Brian Chan. So what do you think we expect today, Brian?
Well, it's early, we just got on the water, seen shucks on the water, seen adults laying eggs from last night, so we know there's a bit of chironomid activity. Yeah. I think we'll catch a couple fish today, and if we do, we can do some throat pumps, and we can actually match as close as we can.
Hatch, yeah.
The flies, we can look at our fly boxes, show some patterns, and
nice.
Maybe take a hot one to the bench.
Beautiful, and you know, we have caught the odd fish together.
Couple.
So it's chironomid techniques today as we take you sport fishing on the fly. I'm gonna get my bobber back out there.
I think it's a good idea.
Sport Fishing on the Fly is brought to you in part by Islander Reels, Precision Reels. The Frog Boat, inspired by nature, ingenious by design. And the Freshwater Fishery Society of BC. Catch what you've been missing. Go Fish BC.
Let him jump in the boat, Don.
He's alive. They're smoking that fly, Brian.
Oh, yeah.
That little bloodworm. I started with the little bloodworm. Oh, they love it.
A dibble.
Don't they? They just love it.
Well, it's early in the day. We're fishing bloodworms to start before the hatch.
So now, do a little talk about the bloodworm. Like what, you know, it's that larval stage.
Yeah, and they're always, the bloodworms, or the chironomid larvae, we call them bloodworms because lots of them are, a lot of species are maroony red in color.
Right.
And they're always good to use in the spring and the fall because they're around. And so the bloodworm is going to eventually turn into the pupa, and then the pupa is going to hatch.
Right.
So there'll be pupa emerging now, but there's also bloodworms for next year down there. And so they're always good to start with.
Yeah, and they were down right on the bottom. And
right
I'm
on the bottom.
Probably, maybe at the most, you know, 4 inches, 3 inches off the bottom. I've measured up the way I always measure up. Look at these anchor ropes there.
Oh yeah, this could be ugly.
It is. Get off there. There, I got him off.
He's coming
Just
in.
a little guy. But he smoked the bloodworm. Smoked it. You know, this is one of those patterns that's always been good for us to start. Whenever you're starting a chironomid hatch, before the really hatch comes on, like you said, start with the bloodworms.
Yeah.
Always good to use. And this guy
Absolutely.
here. There he is there. And that's a real good candidate for the bench, because it is. It's just a nice little bloodworm, a little marabou,
Simple.
easy tie, small tungsten gold bead.
Yep.
Works fantastic.
Yeah.
Just a little guy.
Little
Get
guy.
him out of here. Oh yeah, we expect some nice fish today though.
It's a good starter.
Yeah. Oh, there he is there. Nice little guy.
Beautiful fish.
Gold little chrome silver fish. There he goes. Ooh. A good start of the day, Brian.
Absolutely.
When we come back, you know what? We're gonna get him like this.
Okay.
Big
I like that. I like that.
Oh no. Oh, and I had one too as I moved that. Oh.
That's a nice fish.
That is.
Oh, jump.
Nice.
Oh, anchor.
Oh. So what'd you put on?
Just a smaller bloodworm.
Smaller bloodworm. Again, we're anchored in 12 feet of water. Got a nice little riffle. One anchor up on a shoal.
Nice fish.
So again, we always prefer that 15 to 12 feet to start.
You know what? Key too is we got a depth sounder. You gotta know. We gotta know the depth we're anchored.
So that's really important. Right now it's telling us it's 12.5 feet.
54 degrees,
Yep.
prime.
Prime temperature.
Oh, once we get over 50,
Yeah.
you know something's going to happen.
Yeah, right. You were always saying that 52
Oh,
to
yeah.
56 is
I know
ideal,
we're-
isn't it?
This is good.
Okay, nice fish. Oh, there's that little bloodworm.
Maybe
sitting
we
there.
should probably maybe have a quick throat plump.
Sure.
Throat
sample.
pump.
Sure.
Just it's first. You know, they're probably going to go on the pupa pretty quick.
I'm gonna undo the fly here. I'll get him out. Fly's out. Oh, you get a throat sample.
Oh yeah, what a beautiful chrome! Isn't that a beautiful fish?
Oh, it is.
Yeah, we'll just squeeze the water out of the tube.
That's important. Make
Yeah,
sure
so
that
the
water's
tube's
out of
wet,
the tube,
but
yeah.
all the water's out. Keep the fish in the water. Right to the narrowing of to get the esophagus. Slide it out.
go.
That's all there is to it.
There he is there.
And there he goes.
Oh,
It's a nice
beautiful
fish.
chrome fish. Beautiful.
Oh,
Nice. All
take
right.
a look and see what he's got
Yeah.
on him.
See what he is.
I don't know if
See
you
what he's
didn't
eating.
see too much yet, but oh, look at that.
Geez, full of chironomids. Full of chironomids. Look
And
at the
some-
different colors. Okay,
some-
now that's a great combination. We've got a red and black.
We got green,
We've got greens.
and
we've got
some of them are chromied.
Yep.
And they're all the way up to size 12.
But look at the little guys too.
Yeah,
There's tiny
yeah,
little ones in there.
yeah.
Now, do you ever go much below a 16? Realistically,
Yeah,
fishing a
it's
chironomid?
tough.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard to hook them. Hard, especially if you're going to get a big fish. It's hard to keep that hook in there.
I don't go below
Or to hook them in
16.
general.
16's it.
This is good. They're all live.
Yep.
We just did the throat, so we know they're starting to switch to them.
But now the thing is, they're really loving the bloodworm right now.
Yeah.
They're eating it pretty steady.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
once they kick off it, we'll switch to a
Yep,
chironomid.
exactly.
And we got the various
I think we got to
colors.
wait till we see some more adults hatching. So these guys, these people were eating, like we're in 12 feet. This guy was probably eating at 11 feet.
Yeah.
And they're not ready to pop up to hatch
Yeah, because we
yet.
haven't seen a whole
'Cause we
bunch
haven't
on the
seen 'em, no.
surface yet. Yeah.
But they're gonna. We know they're gonna. It's early in the morning still, and we know they're gonna hatch.
So once we start seeing them come up, that's when we're probably going to
Yep.
change over.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh,
The bloodworm still. It's a killer.
there's still the bloodworm.
Still the bloodworm.
We'll take it.
Big hair. I love fishing bloodworms. Just love it. Look at that, right in the top of the lip. Alrighty, another dandy bry.
Yeah.
Oh, and the fly just popped out. What's with the weather?
Yeah. The weather's.
We had it just beautiful, and this big front's blowing in here again.
Yeah. It's hopefully it doesn't put them off.
Yeah, well, this guy's still bent. I mean, he's not that huge, but he's still bent.
I had one more jump in him.
The weather, like we're in here, we're out in our t-shirts essentially. I mean, it started here this morning, past half an hour, you know, big front blowing over the Rockies, but that's what you got to expect up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you come here too, another note is be prepared. Like we always talk about taking care out in the wild. Rain jackets, critical. Sweater, hats, you know, warm clothes.
Oh yeah. You don't know what you're gonna expect.
You, Big Red.
I know.
Where's Big Red?
And it's in the truck.
He's always got this big down jacket, makes him look about, what, 400 pounds? Well, at least they're still biting a bit.
Yeah, that's
slow, but yeah, hopefully better weather comes in. We've come to shore and we want to show you the setups we use when we're chironomid fishing, and there's really two main ones, isn't there? that
Sure.
we use?
Yeah. Well, base floating lines with or without indicators.
Right.
And you've got yours.
Essentially, I got mine here, and I've got the the fly we've been using today, which is our little black and red chironomid. Then I've got about 1.5 feet up to the swivel, and since we're fishing deeper water, I've got a bigger swivel on. You know, the swivel, I prefer the bigger swivel in deeper water and a smaller swivel in the calmer water.
That's right, and it gets you down quicker.
Right.
And then the bigger swivel, when she's lumpy out there, when it's
Right.
windy, it slows the
Yeah,
bounce
dampens
down.
everything.
Dampens
Exactly.
it, yeah.
And then I've got my big Phil's bob. You know, I love the big bobs. Of course, Brian gave me this new one after I lost my old beat up one, but it's good. You can see it well. You can see if there's any kind of movement. I prefer those, but we also have a bunch of other different
Yeah,
bobs.
so we got smaller quick release bobbers,
Okay.
and then like these fill bobber that you peg with a toothpick. That's it. So it's either pegging it with a toothpick in shallow water, usually less than 10 feet of water, and then any more depth, more than 10 feet deep, the release indicators
You
make
want
it.
release, and the reason is you
Yep.
can't get your rod
That's
tip
right.
high enough to get the fish in. Okay?
That's right.
Exactly. The second setup, I'll let you explain the second setup
so
you got.
the second setup is just a straight full floating line, a weight forward
Right.
floating line, and then a long leader. I'm set up here with about an 18-foot leader.
So now, do you put on what leader now? You'll put on a length,
Yeah.
9 foot, 12 foot?
Yeah, put a 9 or 12 foot
Okay.
tapered leader
And then
that
you tip
ends
it.
in 4X, like 6 pound, and then I'll just add more 4X.
And how much do you normally add?
Depending on the depth. Usually we like to, say we're in 10 feet or 15 feet of water, we want a leader probably at least 5 feet longer than the depth we're anchored in, because we're never going to be retrieving with that leader.
And do you always use fluorocarbon?
Always use fluorocarbon for my last couple pieces of tippet.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then wide arbor reel works great, 10-foot rod. We can launch it out there.
Exactly. Now for the most important component of your whole chironomid setup really is the fly pattern itself.
So Don, if you only had one color chironomid to use, what would it be?
My black and silver or my black and red?
That's right.
Always start with them.
So I pulled out a black and red. We've got that for you there, and a number 12. So we're tying that in everything from a 16 to a really big. Here's a 10-3X. Oh, black and red for the big bombers. You know, when we get the pupa that are 3/4 of an inch to over an inch in length, we want black is the most common color. And then certainly black and silver is a killer pattern. Imitates that silver, imitates that bit of a shine.
Yep.
And then there's lots of green chironomids out there. So here's a green holographic rib with a red wire rib. Great color. And then we need something silvery to imitate that, the chromy type style where the lots of gas in the pupil shuck. So we've got the silver body with the red wire rib. And then another really effective color combination is gunmetal gray holographic tinsel with a red wire rib. So those 6 patterns that we've quickly looked at in different sizes, but in those color combinations are really, they're essential, and they'll get you on the water and they'll get you fish.
That's excellent. So I hope everybody learned something about chironomiding. We're going to go back out, hopefully catch a few more fish. You know, it's still raining a little bit, but at least the storm's passed. And make sure you have those setups if you are going to go chironomiding. Oh, that's a big fish. Whoa, man. Whoa. See that thing? Hammer that? Oh, that was awesome.
Oh, nice fish.
Nice.
That's a nice fish.
There's a little black and red. Right.
Took the cheesies.
The little black and red.
Put the black and red on 14?
No, 14. Black and red 14 chironomid. Unbelievable. That is too cool. It's almost like, you know what? It's funny. That wind died a bit. It warmed probably a couple degrees. Oh, gee. And this fish just ripped it. Unreal. So we both have little black and reds on right now.
Switched.
I think that maybe mine's got that sea bead. Think that sea bead makes a difference?
I might. Well, I think it's that new indicator you have on.
Oh, Brian didn't like my indicator. I actually snapped the fish off and lost it. So he gave me a new one. He couldn't handle me using the old indicator. I don't blame you. This one's a lot better. I can actually see this one, Brian.
It helps.
I can see it go down. This is a nice fish, eh? Looks about 20 inches or so.
Oh, yeah, it's a beautiful fish.
Beautiful fish, yeah. One thing too, when you're fishing indicators and you have that long belly in your line.
Wind drift,
Wind drift, really, you got to set and really start stripping that line, because the fish normally, I find them, they come towards you.
Yeah,
and
so
people that try to reel up, you're done. You're going to lose them. You've
sweep the rod to the side and pull down, pick up that slack.
The wind. That's going to warm up for us, Brian. The wind. Oh, gee.
You're right.
Tough fish. You know, I've got a 4-way rod. I might be a little underpowered. Maybe.
Maybe.
Because these are big fish in here. You've got a 5, I know.
I'm fishing a 10-foot 5.
10-foot 5. And again, we recommend when you're fishing chironomids, long rods, 10-footers, so you can get those nice wide open loops.
And if you're using indicators, oftentimes you can get away with, you know, not having to trigger the indicator.
Exactly. Whoa, gee. This guy's tough. Bry's tough. I don't want to lose him. I don't want to snap off another fly. I lost 3 of my bloodworms this morning, right, early on.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose my little precious crawny here. Oh, man. There he is there.
Oh, that's a chunk.
It is. It's a gorgeous fish. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
now
nice.
that's a gorgeous fish, isn't it? All right. Well, let's let him go, Bry. He's a beauty, isn't he?
Oh.
That's a, 20-inch fish,
Look at
20-inch rainbow.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice and thick.
Beautiful fish.
And big ear. I love it. Chrome. Oh. There she goes. This week on the bench, we're going to tie you up a little chironomid pattern that we call Don's number 1. It's my favorite because it is a black with a silver rib, has a few little modifications, And it seems to be the most prolific color, or most common color, at all the lakes we fish. Make sure you have these materials ready before you tie the fly. For the hook, we'll use a Mustad C47S size 10 curved caddis, some 8/0 olive dun thread to tie with, some black stretch flex for the body, some silver ultra wire for the ribbing, a 7/64 silver bead for the bead, some peacock herl for the thorax, some white ostrich herl for the gills, some large holographic tinsel for the thorax cover, and some fluorescent green fabric paint for the slashes. To start the fly off, I've tied my thread onto the hook near the eyelet. I'm going to take a strand of our white ostrich herl and just tie it in right at the head end. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take about 2 or 3 wraps and then tie it off. And this will form the gills on the fly. Next step to the fly is to whip finish your thread behind the gills. Make sure you whip finish behind. And we're going to cut off our thread after we whip finish and then slide our bead up over the gills towards the eyelet. And when you slide it on, make sure that the thick end or the wide end of the bead goes on first so that it can cover the gills. After the bead's on the hook, I've put my thread back on and wound it down to the hook bend. I'm going to take a strand of our, or length of our silver fine wire, tie it in at the rear of the hook, and this will be used to rib the fly a little bit later. Now the bead's on the hook, I've moved my thread back on and tied it to the hook bend. I've taken a length of my stretch flex and I've cut it into a small little V at the tail or at the end here. I'm just going to catch it because we want to keep it thin, and then once I catch it onto the hook, I'm going to pull it back. I want to keep this very thin. Keep stretching it back as you tie it in. And then wrap your thread to about the halfway point in the hook. That's where our body's going to be tied to. Let's take the stretch flex and slowly wrap it forward. And as you're wrapping forward, again, Chironomids, thin body. Keep pulling it and stretching it and keep that body nice and thin as you wrap up. And as you get a little further up, just slacken off on the stretching a bit just to give it a little bit thicker body, taper it up as we go. And again, stop about 3/5 of the way up your hook and tie it off. Let's take the ribbing that we've had off the back, the silver wire, and we're going to form usually about 5 to 6 ribs on the fly. And there's 5. And tie it off. Take a strand of your holographic tinsel, and what I like to do is put a small thorax cover on this fly. So I'm just going to tie it in just behind the bead, and we'll leave this off to tie over the thorax after, just to give it a little bit of sparkle. Now we're going to take 2 strands of our peacock herl and tie them in just behind the bead, and then we're going to rack them forward to form the thorax, and keep the thorax fairly small. We don't want it real bushy. So just a few wraps around, form the thorax, and finish off behind the bead. Once the thorax is tied in, we're going to take our holographic tinsel we had off the back and then just pull it forward directly over the thorax and tie off behind the bead. Here's where the fly really changes up. This is a new addition to a fly, and I think it really enhances the fly. We're going to whip finish it, and then we're going to put our slashes on. So after you whip finish, behind the bead, cut off your thread, and then move the fly at an angle. Make it kind of flat. Flatten it right out, and just trim off some of that peacock herl along the side, on one side to start, because this is where the slash is going to go. Now that we have the fly on its side and we've trimmed off the peacock herl from the side, we're going to take some of our fluorescent green, and this is Tulip Slick. It's fabric paint, and I've got a bodkin or a needle. Put a little bit on your needle, and you just need a small dab, and then we're just going to wipe this along onto the peacock herl and the bead, and just form a green slash on the fly on one side, and then turn the fly around and do exactly the same thing on the other side. So there it is, Don's #1 chironomid. As you've noticed on the bench this season, we're tying a lot of my personal favorites, and of course I modify all my flies. One great modification again we made this year is adding this fluorescent paint to the flies. It makes them that much more effective. That looks like a nice fish. Kind of more standard today, that 18 to 20 inch.
Yeah.
Very nice. And got them on the reel right away. They're liking that down across right now. So what we're doing is just wind drifting. We're casting exactly parallel to the boat, and perpendicular to the wind, and just just letting it go. Sorry, Brian, got in your way. That's a nice fish. So we've tried a few straight down, actually perpendicular to the boat, and bringing it back right with the wind. They haven't touched it. Every time we're wind drifting, they hit it. So is that, you think that's because it's coming from deeper water into the shallower water?
Yeah.
Could be. It's like it's coming off the bottom or moving into the zone.
That's a good
I
fish.
think that's good fish.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him up, Bri.
Get his head up.
It's tough.
I'm not chasing.
Made some great runs. Oh, gee. Oh, yeah.
Good job, Don.
That's a
Beautiful
dandy.
fish.
Wow.
That's a nice fish.
That is a nice fish. That's what you get on chironomids. You know, the funny thing too, a lot of people don't think big fish eat chironomids, but they do. Look at that, right in the top of the mouth, upside down the beak. Oh, just gotta get them out. That's where you always get them, eh? With the chronies, right in the top lip.
When you get them that way, you know they're looking, they're eating.
That's a small little pattern, like that. The pattern. It's just a small little guy. Yeah. All right, get him out here. Oh man, he's full of life. There he is there. Oh, that's a nice fish, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Good job.
Bullet, just beautiful. Oh, got you wet again. Hey, you know what though, Brian?
It was a great
Thanks
day.
for a great day. You know, chironomiding, oh, you didn't want to lose a net. Chironomiding, some people have the patience to do it, other people don't, but it pays off.
Yeah, you gotta have patience.
You do, don't you?
Yeah. We waited out. We had to wait around, wait for that storm to go through and come back out on the water.
But and also indicator fishing, people don't like it a lot of times because they say, well, it's boring, I gotta wait. You do, you have to be patient.
It's like watching paint dry, but it's productive because the fly's in the zone where the fish are feeding. That's what it's all about.
That's exactly what it's about. When you're out here, take care, conserve the waters, and we'll see you next time when we take you sport fishing on the fly. A great day, Mr. Chan.
It was good, Don.
Want more information? Visit us at SFOTF.ca.
To watch all our latest Sport Fishing on the Fly episodes and to order Sport Fishing on the Fly merchandise, head to www.sfotf.ca. And if you would like to book an adventure like this one shown, head to ontheflyadventures.ca and book yourself the trip of a lifetime.